Doors swing open for them without effort. Chances seem to find them instead of the other way around. They spot the solution before anyone else has even noticed there's a problem. You've probably called them lucky. But look closer and you'll notice something else. They expect good things to happen. They walk around with a rock-solid belief that life is on their side. That quiet, invisible expectation is what actually creates what we call luck. It isn't an accident. It isn't a coincidence. It's a spiritual principle playing out in real time. So what changes when you start living this way? When you open your eyes in the morning and smile, not because of what's happening around you, but because of what you've already decided is true within you, your whole posture shifts. You speak differently. You stop reacting to how things look on the surface. You start carrying yourself like someone who genuinely knows, deep down, that everything is working in your favor, even in the moments it looks like it's falling apart. You stop begging the world to notice you're worth something. You simply assume your seat at the table. You stop dreading tomorrow and start welcoming it, trusting that it has to reflect whatever atmosphere you've built inside. Acting as the luckiest person alive means assuming nothing is out of order, that even the delays serve a purpose, that even a rejection is really a redirection, that life is conspiring for you even when you can't see the hand guiding it. Closed doors stop looking like failure and start looking like protection. You don't just hope for good things anymore. You claim them ahead of time, prepare for their arrival, and give thanks before they show up. Your attitude becomes the quiet weapon nobody sees coming. You stop waiting for the blessing to appear before you say thank you. You lead with gratitude, because what you appreciate tends to grow. Every step becomes soaked in this invisible confidence, and life can't help but answer back. Circumstances shift, people gravitate toward your energy, and solutions arrive from places you never expected. Not because you forced any of it, but because you expected it. Here's where so many people trip up though. They wait to feel lucky until something lucky actually happens to them. But that's backwards. You have to feel it first. You have to live inside that feeling before there's a shred of evidence for it. You have to occupy the mood of the answered prayer before the answer physically shows up. That's the order this actually works in. Assume the feeling of being favored, and the outside world eventually has to bend to match it. You don't need to be born into money or privilege to live a privileged life. You just need to wake up to the fact that you get to choose your own assumptions. Right now, in this exact moment, you could start walking through your days as though every door ahead is unlocked. Every room you enter has already been arranged to welcome you. Every situation is quietly turning in your favor, even if it doesn't look that way yet. That's what assumption actually does. That's the whole secret behind acting like the luckiest person alive. So breathe, let go of how things appear. Step into the life you want, not by waiting around for it to arrive, but by living as though it's already here. Because once you do, the world has no option but to mirror what's happening inside you. You aren't a passenger in your own story. You're the one writing it. Whatever you accept on the inside, life is obligated to express on the outside. And the second you claim, without a flicker of doubt, that you are the luckiest person alive, life is required to produce the proof. Not eventually. Not once you've earned it. The instant you believe it. There's a hidden chamber inside every person where the actual script of their life gets written. Not by fate. Not by luck of the draw. By the quiet, often unnoticed power of assumption. From the outside, life looks like a lottery. Some people seem blessed. Others seem cursed. Some rise easily, while others stumble without warning. But underneath that surface-level illusion, there's a precise spiritual mechanism at work. Whatever you assume to be true, consistently and with real feeling, eventually becomes your lived experience. This isn't a motivational slogan. It isn't positive thinking dressed up. It's closer to cause and effect on a spiritual level. Choosing to act like the luckiest person alive means deliberately dropping that assumption like a seed into the fertile soil of your own mind, trusting the growth that follows. Everything starts in thought. Long before it ever becomes visible, you have to feel it before your eyes ever see it. Your spirit has to hold it before your hands ever touch it. You don't need proof to accept something as true. You only need to accept it within your own imagination. And here's the strange part. The moment you accept it internally, your external circumstances start rearranging themselves to match. The world isn't fighting you. It's responding to you. Every so-called coincidence is shaped by the tone you're carrying inside. So if you go through your days assuming scarcity, scarcity is exactly what you'll meet. If you carry around the belief that other people get the lucky breaks but you never do, life will hand that belief right back to you, precisely as ordered. But the second you shift, the second you start living in the feeling of being favored, blessed, quietly lucky, you activate the law of reflection, and life has to yield to whatever new truth you've accepted. This assumption isn't wishful thinking. It's not idle daydreaming. It's a spiritual declaration of what already is, made before the world has confirmed a thing. When you assume you're lucky, you're crossing your fingers hoping something good happens. You're stepping directly into the reality where it already has. You're telling yourself internally that the good you're seeking already belongs to you. That assumption becomes the mold that everything else pours into. Water has to take the shape of whatever vessel holds it, and life can't hand you anything you haven't first claimed on the inside. So ask yourself honestly, what have you been quietly assuming about your own life when nobody's watching? When the noise fades and the distractions disappear, what do you privately believe about where you're headed? Do you assume the world is against you? That things never quite work out? That other people get chosen while you get passed over? Those beliefs, even the ones you never say out loud, are far from harmless. They're active, they're creative, and they're constantly shaping the pattern of your days. But here's the good news. None of that is permanent. You can revise it. You can decide, right now, to assume something higher, something truer, something aligned with real favor. You can start acting as if the timing is finally working for you. As if doors nobody can close are swinging open. As if everything you need is already headed your way, pulled in by the gravity of your own belief. Don't wait around for proof before you decide to believe. That's the world's approach, not the spirit's. The actual order isn't see it, then believe it. It's believe it, and then you'll see it. That's the quiet secret behind every uncommon life. People who live extraordinary lives don't wait for perfect conditions. They manufacture those conditions by assuming them first. They walk into rooms like they already belong there. They approach opportunities like those opportunities were already theirs. Their confidence isn't arrogance. It's simply an inner knowing that they're aligned with something bigger than their circumstances. To assume you're the luckiest person alive isn't denial. It's a redesign. It's choosing a deeper truth over the surface appearance. You're not chained to your past. You're not defined by statistics or other people's opinions of you. You're defined by whatever you privately claim to be true. And once you claim favor, once you actually embody the feeling of being blessed, the world has no choice but to follow your lead. It's clay, and your assumption is the hand shaping it. Every morning you wake up is another invitation to start fresh. Will you default to assuming the worst out of habit? It's entirely your call. It's entirely your call. And the second you choose differently, the second you say, I'm not unlucky, I'm divinely guided, fortune finds me for no logical reason, I'm a magnet for good things, something begins to move. You won't notice it all at once, but slowly, and then all at once, life starts echoing back exactly what you'd been whispering to yourself in private. And when doubt creeps back in, because it will, return to the assumption. When fear knocks, answer with faith. When the old story tries to replay itself, rewrite it on the spot. Guard your inner world closely, because that's where everything actually begins. Once that seed of assumption takes root and gets watered with steady belief, your whole life becomes the garden it blooms in. What most people call luck is badly misunderstood. They treat it like a roll of the dice, a random twist of fate, something that belongs to a chosen handful of people. They admire it in others, envy its absence in their own lives, and talk about it like it's reserved for the fortunate few. But in its truest sense, luck isn't a fluke at all. It's the natural outcome of internal alignment. When your thoughts, your emotions, your beliefs, and your assumptions are all pointed in the same direction, toward favor, toward good, toward something bigger, orchestrating things. What shows up in your life outside feels effortless, even magical, to everyone watching. But to you, it isn't magic. It's law. It's simply the visible unfolding of something you believed long before you saw it. Understanding this pulls you out of the world's chaos and into a much clearer view. You start to notice that nothing in your life is actually random. Looking back, you'll see that every lucky break was preceded by an internal shift, a surge of confidence, a sudden belief in yourself, a willingness to imagine that good things were possible for you. In that moment, you weren't merely hoping for change. You were aligning with it. You stepped into agreement with the life you wanted, and that agreement began pulling together all the pieces required to make it real. That's alignment. That's the thing the world keeps mislabeling as luck. When you're walking in alignment, your path is guided not by outside forces but by the quiet power of your own assumption. There's a current running beneath everything, and when you fall into rhythm with it, you're carried by flow instead of struggle. You meet the right people at the right time. Unexpected news opens a door you didn't know existed. You end up somewhere that seems almost too perfectly timed to have been an accident. And everyone watching calls it luck. But the truth is, you're not lucky. You're aligned. This kind of alignment starts in the invisible territory of your own consciousness. It begins the moment you stop doubting that you deserve good things, stop resisting your own desires, stop asking, will this happen, and start living as though it already has. When your feelings, your self-talk, your imagination, and your expectations all point the same direction, you become almost unstoppable. You're no longer contradicting yourself, wanting one thing while quietly expecting another. Your entire being becomes a single unified yes to the life you're choosing, and that kind of coherence pulls things toward you faster than pure effort ever could. Because belief moves quicker than hustle. But this alignment demands discipline. Not the physical kind, the spiritual kind. You have to train yourself to stay in the feeling of the wish already fulfilled, even while your circumstances still look unchanged. You have to feel lucky before there's any proof of it. Walk with your head high while your situation still looks low. Give thanks for blessings that haven't landed in the physical world yet, trusting they already exist somewhere unseen. That's not delusion, that's creation, because everything visible was born invisible first. Your inner alignment is the mold the outer world eventually gets poured into. You'll know you're aligned when peace replaces panic, when trust replaces tension, when your private inner conversation finally matches the outcome you're hoping for. You won't need to chase, convince, or force anything. You'll simply attract, magnetize, and manifest. People will call it luck. You'll know it's the fruit of what you chose to believe. Living from the end means occupying, in your mind and in your feelings, the state of already possessing what you want. It's a sharp departure from how most people move through life, chasing goals, waiting for the world to shift before they let themselves feel differently, measuring progress by outside signs. But here's the deeper truth. You aren't waiting on life. Life is waiting on you. The outer world is just a mirror, faithfully echoing back whatever you've accepted as true. When you live from the end, you flip the entire structure. You stop asking, how do I get there? And start dwelling in the place where it's already done. You feel it. You sense it. You imagine it so vividly that reality starts bending to match the end script already running in your imagination. This isn't about pretending or ignoring what's actually in front of you. It's about recognizing that your present circumstances are nothing more than the leftover residue of old beliefs and past assumptions, not fixed, not final, not stronger than the creative power sitting inside you. When you live from the end, you claim authorship over your own life. You're no longer reacting to the world, you're causing it. Every stray thought, every feeling, every inner conversation becomes a seed dropped into consciousness, destined to grow in its own time. Notice how the world trains you to live reactively. Wait. Prove yourself. Meet the conditions first. Get the degree, land the job, secure the relationship, earn the approval. and only then are you allowed to feel successful or loved or free. Spiritual law flips that order entirely. Feel free first. Feel loved first. Feel successful first. When you occupy the feeling of your desire already fulfilled, without contradiction or doubt, you're in alignment with that reality, and the physical world simply has to catch up. Your mind might protest, but I don't see it yet. That's exactly where faith enters. You don't live from the end because you can already see it. You live from the end so that you eventually will. The unseen always arrives first. Every visible outcome in your life began as an invisible thought or feeling. Nothing about your life is random or imposed on you from outside. It's rooted entirely in the state of consciousness you're occupying. If you want to change what's visible, you have to first inhabit the invisible state where the wish is already granted. That's where the real power lives. That's where transformation actually starts. Living from the end means you stop asking permission to believe something good about your life. You stop waiting for encouragement from anyone. You step directly into the version of yourself who already has it. And you let that version take the lead. You stop asking, "Can I become this?" and start asking, "How would I think, speak, and act if I already were this person?" You align your choices, your posture, your energy with someone who has stopped striving and simply is. And that shift changes everything. Because the world doesn't respond to what you say you want. It responds to who you are being. This is exactly why so many people stay stuck. They live toward their goals, which keeps them permanently in a state of lack, chasing, reaching, hoping, waiting. Their inner dialogue keeps reinforcing the gap between where they are and where they want to be. But when you live from the end, that gap collapses. You move from someday to now. Your imagination becomes a private sanctuary where you rehearse the scenes of your ideal life, not as wishes, but as memories. You walk the halls of your own mind, already in possession of what you want. You feel the emotions, you notice the details, and you build that inner experience so richly that it starts to feel natural. And once something feels natural, it's already on its way to becoming real. This way of living takes real intention. You have to pull your attention off appearances and settle into the unseen. You have to refuse to be discouraged by delay. And you have to learn to disregard anything that contradicts what you already know inside. Once you live from the end, you start seeing the world through a different lens. Every detour, every silence, every apparent setback becomes part of the unfolding, rather than evidence against you. You stop being shaken by what you see, because you already know what you've claimed within. The world is simply catching up. There's genuine peace in living this way. The weight of uncertainty lifts. You stop wondering whether you deserve good things. You've already decided you do. You start feeling grateful, not for what's coming someday, but for what has already arrived in your imagination. And that gratitude becomes magnetic, pulling the invisible into the visible, closing the gap between spirit and matter. Slowly, without strain, life reshapes itself to reflect whatever state you've consistently held. The shift usually starts quietly. A phone call, an idea, a connection, a sudden moment of clarity, a change in the air. Then, almost like a flood, things start rearranging themselves. Not because you chased them down, but because you became the kind of person who already had them. The world bends to match the self-image you're holding on to. It really has no other option. It's simply obeying the instruction you consume. We've been giving it through sustained assumption. That's the law. So start today. Start now. Close your eyes. Step into the feeling of already possessing what you want. Let your body settle into that truth. Let your mind accept it fully. Let your imagination rehearse it, and your emotions confirm it. Carry that state like a hidden treasure. Protect it, nurture it, return to it often. Whatever you nurture inside eventually has to be born outside. The end isn't something you wait around for. It's something you live from. And by living from it, you bring it into being. Gratitude, in its truest form, isn't a reaction to something that's already happened. It's a declaration of trust in something you haven't seen yet. Most people wait for the gift before saying thank you. They wait for the breakthrough before celebrating. They wait for the door to open before they'll believe they're favored. But once you understand how these spiritual principles work, you realize gratitude isn't supposed to follow the miracle. It's supposed to create it. It's not a reward you hand out after receiving a blessing. It's the force that pulls the blessing toward you in the first place. When you start expressing gratitude ahead of time, you aren't being naive. You're being spiritually sharp. You're aligning yourself with a reality that already exists somewhere unseen. And your thanks is what calls it forward. Saying thank you before there's any visible movement is essentially saying, I trust what I can't yet see. It's an act of courage, a demonstration of faith, an intimate acknowledgement that reality begins with belief, not evidence. This kind of gratitude has a magnetic quality. It doesn't beg or plead. It claims. It stands steady in the storm and quietly says thank you, even when nothing on the outside has changed yet, because something has already shifted inside. The instant that gratitude is genuinely felt, the energy of lack dissolves. The energy of waiting disappears. You stop longing and start receiving. You stop doubting and start affirming. There's something almost sacred about walking through life with a grateful heart before the features arrive. That's the behavior of people who see past appearances. They aren't fooled by delay. They aren't discouraged by silence. They understand that just because they haven't touched something with their own hands yet doesn't mean it isn't already theirs. They speak to their circumstances with quiet assurance. They look at a closed door and say, thank you. This is part of a path I can't fully see yet. They feel joy ahead of schedule. They celebrate not because of what the world is showing them, but in spite of it. And that joy sends out a kind of signal, a spiritual frequency that pulls matching experiences into physical form. Once you start living this way, people won't always understand you. They'll question your confidence. Why are you so sure? You don't even have it yet. What they can't see is that you already have it, inside. And the inner world always comes before the outer one. Gratitude expressed in advance is proof that you already possess the thing you desire within. Your own consciousness. It's the seed you plant and water with belief. And the more you keep thanking whatever's unseen, the more it's compelled to appear. This is why gratitude is so much more than good manners. It's power. It's the vibration of completion. It declares it's already done, while everyone else can only see the beginning. It's the private secret of people living in alignment with something greater than themselves. They don't need to know how it will happen or control the exact path. They simply give thanks as though it's already been perfectly arranged, and in that surrender, they find peace, because gratitude softens resistance. It dissolves the tension between wanting something and receiving it. It moves you out of striving and into receiving. And once you're in that receiving state, everything starts drifting toward you, not through force, but through grace. Picture waking up every day and thanking something greater for things you've only dreamed about. Picture moving through your day as though your prayers had already been answered. Picture writing down your goals and, instead of pleading for them, simply saying, thank you for this reality now made visible. That kind of mindset opens gates. It dissolves worry. It quiets the inner critic. Because you're no longer trying to get something. You're already living inside the feeling of having it. That single shift changes the way you talk, the way you carry yourself, the way you respond to everything around you. You start radiating peace. You carry an unspoken confidence that isn't arrogance, and life answers accordingly. Circumstances bend. People show up. Ideas arrive out of nowhere. Solutions present themselves. Because instead of broadcasting desperation, you're broadcasting fulfillment. And like tends to attract like. The world has to mirror whatever frequency you're consistently emitting. This isn't some clever trick of emotional manipulation. It's a spiritual principle. Gratitude offered in advance is the language creation understands. It tells the unseen, I trust you. It tells your body, we're safe. It tells your mind, there's nothing here to fear. And with that, you step into a kind of peace that no external circumstance can shake. Even when things seem to contradict what you're hoping for, gratitude becomes your anchor. When nothing makes sense, when delays drag on, when every door looks shut tight, gratitude is what keeps you aligned with a deeper truth. It refuses to bow to appearances. It sees straight through them, knowing that whatever's happening right now is only temporary, while what's real never wavers. And as you keep giving thanks, as you bless the process itself, the path reveals itself, piece by piece, at exactly the right pace. When the answer finally arrives, when the door swings open and the dream takes shape, it will feel oddly familiar. Not because you've physically been there before, but because you've already visited it 1,000 times in your heart. You've already walked those halls in your imagination, already felt the air of that new reality. And every single time you said thank you, you pulled it a little closer, until it could no longer stay hidden. This is the quiet power behind gratitude offered in advance. It works silently. It moves obstacles that your eyes can't even see. It prepares your heart to receive what your logical mind still questions. It builds the bridge between faith and physical form. And every time you say thank you, even without visible proof, you're proving to the universe that you're ready, that you trust the process, that you're aligned, that you believe the best is not only possible, but already in motion. Your state of being isn't just some fleeting mood. It's the quiet force actually shaping the world around you. It's the vibration you carry, the invisible current you bring into every room, every conversation, every interaction you have. Most people fixate on the external, trying to fix their circumstances, control outcomes, manage what other people do. But those who understand how this works know everything actually starts on the inside. Your state draws your circumstances, not sometimes, not occasionally, but consistently. The world isn't happening to you, it's answering the tone you set internally. Walk through life carrying fear, and everything you encounter reflects that fear right back at you. Carry the belief that you're overlooked, unlucky, forgettable, and you'll find situations that confirm exactly that. But the moment you shift your internal state toward favor, abundance, worth, and peace, the world has no choice but to mirror that shift back. It's obligated to follow the law of reflection. This principle isn't abstract philosophy. It's practical, observable. Look at the patterns already running through your life, the repeated outcomes, the tone of your relationships, whether money flows easily or feels stuck, the opportunities that show up or seem to stay at arm's length. All of it is feedback, showing you exactly what state of consciousness you've been occupying. The world isn't judging you. It's simply following your lead, more faithfully than you probably realize. It doesn't hand you what you want. It hands you who you are. That's why affirmations alone, said for a few minutes before reverting to old habits, don't actually move the needle. Your dominant state is the loudest voice in the room, and it's the one that gets answered. Say, "I'm the luckiest person alive," while internally still bracing for disappointment, and your words get drowned out by the state underneath them. The universe listens to what you're being, not what you're saying. That's why real transformation isn't just about changing what you think. It's about changing what you believe, what you expect, and what feels normal to you. When feeling blessed becomes more natural than feeling cursed, when expecting favor feels easier than expecting failure, you've genuinely shifted your state, and life starts to change from there. Think of your inner state as a thermostat. Set it low. Low self-worth, low expectations, low belief in what's yours. And no amount of effort will change the temperature of what you attract. But raise the setting. Expand your vision. Believe you're worthy of something greater. And trust that life is actually on your side. And everything starts to rearrange. Not instantly, but faithfully, as long as you hold that higher setting steady. What's remarkable about this law is that it never stops running. You're always radiating some state, always creating something, even in your silence, even when you're not paying attention to it. That's why awareness is the key. Waking up, dropping the habit of blaming outside circumstances, and asking instead, what state am I actually in right now? Because that question holds the seed of every real change. You can't sit in victimhood and expect empowerment. You can't dwell in lack and expect overflow. You can't marinate in resentment and expect peace. You have to become the reality you want first, and only then does the reality follow. Once you truly grasp this, your life becomes far more intentional. You stop chasing, stop grasping, stop trying to manipulate outcome,